Today is Thursday, April 11th, 2019, and in the past week, Philadelphia went 7-9 with the Flyers going 0-2, Sixers going 2-2, Phillies going 3-3, the Fusion picking up a win and a loss, the Wings losing their game, and the Union winning theirs. So much to talk about all the time as usual, so sit down, relax, and enjoy a trip on the Orange Line.
He had high hopes. He had high hopes.
Clap your hands, everybody, for Philadelphia 76ers.
All right, so welcome back to another edition of your Philadelphia 8for8 Sports Podcast. A sports podcast by fans, for fans, as usual. It's great to be here. I really love doing this, guys. And that's why I've been doing podcasts, at like a crazy person recently. Over the past weekend, have done 3, including last week's edition of the Orange Line. But I have started up my new wrestling podcast. Hooray! It's going to be happening every Friday, but you don't care about that. You care about sports, which is why I created the one on Saturday, which was about Overwatch, especially because I know it's, I keep saying it's one of the newer games. It's a game that's, not very well understood. I had that whole conversation with my parents. I think it went nowhere. So that's fun. It's just, it's hard for a new concept to be implemented into a world that we seemingly already know. But hyperbole aside, I want to start off this week with the last thing I talked about, which was the Philadelphia Fusion and Overwatch League. They went 1-1 last week, picking up a win over top of Florida, the Florida Mayhem. They won 3-1 and did a very nice job of it. And it's good to see them pick up that win, considering the fact that in week 1, I believe, they picked up their first loss, which was to the Florida Mayhem, but in a very back and forth kind of game. But it seemed like we had a bit more of an edge this time around. That game happened on Saturday, but going all the way back to Thursday, the Union started off Stage 2 of Overwatch League pretty much, how do I say it? They got stomped. They really had it taken to them, and it was just kind of, it was honestly hard to watch as a Philadelphia fan, because I want nothing but the best for this team. I mean, we were contenders for the World Championship last year, and I'm not going to say that this doesn't make sense, because the New York Excelsior are really good at Overwatch. They're, I think, without a doubt, the best team in the entire league, and they've pretty much taken it to everyone thus far. They've had a few weird losses, but it seemed like last season we were one of the teams that was actually able to actually pick up wins against New York, and unfortunately it really didn't seem to happen this time around. We had a terrible 4-0 against us. They just took every map. It seemed like they were a step ahead the entire time. And to the announcers giving us credit, they were like, oh, well, they haven't had as much time to play around with the new meta, and they are just getting used to everything. They don't know when to play Baptiste, because this was legitimately the first game back since Stage 1. So absolutely no one knew what the meta was going to be coming into Stage 2, considering the fact that multiple things have changed within the game, including a new character, like I've already talked about, Baptiste. So it's going to be interesting to see how they perform moving forward, because it seemed like they were right back into shape on Saturday. So hopefully that loss to New York isn't that bad, and maybe eventually we can avenge it. But for now, moving into this week, we are playing on Friday against the Toronto Defiant, and then Saturday we're playing against the team we started off Overwatch League with, and ended last season with, because we met them in the World Finals, the Grand Slam World Grand. I really got to nail down what the like name of whatever it is. But yeah, the team that took the World Championship last year, London Spitfire, playing them on Saturday. So hopefully we can pick up another win over them and prove that Toronto can't just step in. They gotta. They're Canadian, aren't they supposed to be polite? So don't step in on our territory, bro. But it is going to be very interesting to see where this meta goes with Baptiste, and hopefully he performs very well. And one Baptiste that is performing very well is playing for the Philadelphia Wings. What a segue. But yeah, we've broken a record this year, ladies and gentlemen. Trevor Baptiste has now set the NLL, not NNL, the NLL rookie face-off record. He has won 280 face-offs, which made me think. I sat there and went, well, he's like insane. And the fact that he hasn't broken the NLL record obviously means that there is someone way more insane that was playing at one point at face-offs. But big shout out to Trevor Baptiste. Also big shout out to Jordan Hall. He's picked up his 700th career point. Both of those things happened at Saturday's game. A loss to Calgary, 18-13. It was not a fun game to watch. Well, it was at points. It was just, how do I say it? It was tough because they had us, beat almost immediately. I believe we went down 5-0, pulled Buckin, and put in our backup goalie, whose name is escaping me right now. But pulled Buckin. Again, I'm terrible with these names, guys. I'm so sorry. Pulled him, and we kind of fought back a little bit, but then, we got a few goals. They would get some back. It was really back and forth, honestly, but the fact that we were on the losing end of the back and forth kind of sucked. It got real, itchy and scratchy at the end of the game as well. Calgary just seemed like really annoyed, which has seemed to have happened in almost every single one of the games I've gone to. Is at the end of the game, it kind of just seems like they get annoyed that they can't capitalize on the things that they want to capitalize on. Like, I don't know if it's me just observing this, but it definitely seems like whoever's facing Trevor Baptiste at face-offs just never wins, and they seem to just get really mad about it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But with that loss, that does put our record to 3-12. It was the last game at home, and it was really upsetting to see a loss like that. It was Kids' Day, too. They couldn't even win it for the kids. How dare they? But either way, it's seeming like that is the end for us this season. We do have 3 games left, though. Two of which are happening this week. It's going to be against the Saskatchewan Rush on Saturday, the 13th, and on the 14th, we have Vancouver. It just says Vancouver. I believe they're called the Warriors. That's what their symbol looks like. But legitimately on the website that I'm looking at, it just says Vancouver. What a weird way to put it. Well, anyway, let's talk about the Union now. They picked up a win on Saturday, the 6th, over FC Dallas, so that's great. Another win at home. I'm telling you, I called it. I said they're going to get better, and then they did. They just listened to me. Honestly, it's got to be pretty easy. We are playing the Galaxy on Saturday, though, which might not bode as well for us. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. But, yes, we are playing the LA Galaxy, who are in third in the Western Conference as of right now. We're still sitting in fourth, so big ups to us. We've done real well so far. 3-2-1, 2 losses at the beginning of the season, and all of a sudden, Docter PhD, pulls out a call out of his pocket. He goes, "Boom! This is gonna happen." They listened, and now we're killing it. But we are going to LA. I've said that twice now, and the reason I've said that twice now is because LA is traditionally a pretty good team. I know they're usually the spotlight for the former Euro League players, like David Beckham coming over, or I believe Gerrard. No, maybe Gerrard went to a different team. But a lot of the older good players from over in Europe. So I'm just not going to say I'm expecting a win, because I never am with this team. It always seems like they'll be really good. I always get fooled. I'm always like, hey, yeah, they're doing a decent job. That's pretty great. Good for them. And then turns out they're just not, which sucks. But it's all right, because we're still doing well, so I believe we can carry through with this roll. And rolling forward, we do have the Philadelphia Soul. Like I said last week, they started their practices. They were getting down to a whole lot of great stuff. It really seems like they're getting down to the nitty and the gritty, as I always say. And I believe they have a scrimmage coming up against Baltimore. Let me read a little bit. But while I'm doing that, I should say that we are getting ready for this season. I'm very excited. I've already talked about how I have the season tickets. I will be the eyes in the crowd for everyone that cannot. I'll experience this for you, so that way we can all be cheering for the same team, Philadelphia. Hooray! But we are playing Atlantic City Blackjacks on Saturday, just in a scrimmage though. It's gonna be fun to see one of the new teams in action, though, if I'm gonna be honest. But I know they have a lot of practices, a lot of things to really settle down and make sure all the new players on the team get used to playing within the system. So, with that being said, I'm stoked. I really am. Pretty stoked for the Eagles season as well. They've been making moves, I know. I'm not very aware of them, but they have been doing this, doing that, picking some players up. They're really throwing out a lot of brotherly love, though, which is something that I do enjoy. I don't see a lot of their stuff on like Instagram or Twitter or anything, but What I do see a whole lot of is them like replying to like the Phillies that are like, Bryce Harper hit another home run, and then like the Eagles are like, just like this, and they show the one celebration where they knock a ball out of an imaginary ball out of the park for a touchdown celebration. I don't know. I just love it. I love how much all these teams love each other. It's the city of brotherly love, and that's exactly what we do. So even though I'm not very savvy to everything that's happening in the off season for the Eagles, I'm still very much in love with the team. So the fact that they throw love back out at us, it's great. It's great. It's a good time. But we do have a few bigger pieces of news to talk about. So let's start with an annoying one first. That being the Philadelphia Flyers. They are one of two teams that have just wrapped up their seasons officially. Them and the Sixers are now done with the regular season. Unfortunately for the Flyers, we are not moving any further. Didn't make it into the playoffs. We all knew that. We were all pretty bummed about it. I was really bummed about it. And we ended on a pretty sour note. 7-3 against St. Louis and 4-3 against Carolina. It was not a fun time. And it's obviously soured a few of the players right now. They seem very frustrated. But hopefully they can have something to look forward to, considering the fact that the Flyers have the 11th pick, which could open us up to some pretty good prospects. And I know I'm not really at the point to be like, oh, yay, prospects. It's always good to just have prospects, It doesn't really seem like a bad thing to have. But moving into this offseason now, almost everything that's happening is going to be incredibly important. Because things have to be done. Moves have to be made. I've seen a few players kind of be like, I don't know where I'm going to be in my future. I don't know if the city is going to be right for me in a few years. But I don't know. It's really been upsetting how much hype could have been around this team going into the season, and I got super hype at the middle point, considering the fact that we got whole new management, new coaches, and a new system, a new idea at least. And I don't know, I'm not going to say I'm disappointed by the team because I kind of expected this, but I am very excited for what this team can do next season. They have so much potential, a lot of great young guys who have a lot of tape to work with this summer and how to improve their game, and hopefully they'll be able to do that. And as for the core players that we have, maybe shopping around wouldn't be so bad. And hopefully, if they aren't entirely satisfied with being part of the Philadelphia sports franchise, which they should be because it's pretty great, but if they're not entirely satisfied, then hopefully we can send them in a direction that would be better for them, but also be better for us. Because I truly think that this team has the potential to be a playoff team that can win a round next season. I really think that. And I think this is the most crucial time for them because we've already seen some slumpy areas that could really affect the Flyers. We've already seen some great things that we've done and that we can improve upon. we've also given a lot of young guys a lot of experience, which I believe they should just, continue doing what they're doing physically, but mentally study up, learn their weaknesses, and then eventually, they can come into next season feeling great. So I don't know what else I can really say about that, but I'm still excited about this team. I believe everyone should be. Just like I believe everyone should be excited about all of the other teams out there. But still, I think this is a team that can do a whole lot, and they just got to work out the kinks. And if that means getting rid of some of the bigger names that hold a lot of points for our team, well, maybe that's the best fit. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I won't be able to even comment on that. A thing I can comment on, though, is the Sixers. Sixers have made it into the playoffs after their 82 games of regular season have been played. 51-31, I believe their last record was. I'm not going to mention the Flyers record because, well, it wasn't good. But we do have some postseason action to look forward to because of the Philadelphia 76ers. We clinched up the third seed. Yeah, the third seed for the Eastern Conference playoffs, which means that we get to play the Brooklyn Nets, who's a team I am entirely confident we can beat. The last two times we've played them, we have done very well, and I believe we were a bit short in both of those games. I think we did not have Embiid playing in the later game, and I don't think we had, I want to say Embiid again. And I know there's a good chance that Embiid might miss some time in the earlier parts of the playoffs. I'm not really sure what ails him, but I do know that he's been said to be day-to-day, and there's a chance he might have some time to recuperate from whatever injury is ailing him. But yeah, I think we have a very good shot of moving into the second round of the playoffs. Just considering the fact that we've done very well against the Nets, like I've said. So that's not my concern. My concern is what would happen afterwards. I think just trying to make some sort of prediction. I think there's a good chance that we could play Toronto next. And as much as I have faith that we could beat Toronto, that's going to be one of the toughest matchups that we could probably get, aside from Milwaukee. And we don't want to play Milwaukee. I'll say that. We don't want to play Milwaukee. I don't want to play Milwaukee. Can I get an upset against Milwaukee? But yeah, it's looking good for us in terms of getting more playoff experience for this team. And we've had a whole bunch of highs, but we're riding a low right now. And I think this could kind of catapult us, especially if we get these wins at home. Since we are the higher seed, we have home advantage, home field, home court. We get to play at home first, which I think could be incredibly beneficial for us as a fan base and the team itself. So we have that to look forward to. Two of those games in the 7-game series are going to be played this week. The first one being at 2:30 on Saturday, and then Monday we are playing at 8 o'clock. So be prepared for the hashtag Orange Line live tweeting. Probably gonna get those games because if the Phillies keep playing the way that they've been playing, I'm gonna be upset. Well, okay. I'm not gonna be upset. I love this team, and this team's so exciting, and I'm gonna be so entrenched by everything that they're doing throughout the entire season. But right now, we're able to see the first problem, and the first problem is the pitching. And I don't want to say that in a bad way. Well, I kind of do, but it is the pitching right now. We had an embarrassing 15-1 loss just last night to the Nationals, and I don't know. It was tough because Nick Pivetta started off playing like garbage, like absolute hot garbage. And then he struck out 4 in a row, I believe. So he struck out 3 straight batters to end the first, struck out another one to start the second. I believe got a 5th strikeout to end the second. And by the time he got to 3 2/3 innings, he throws 99 pitches and has 7 strikeouts. He pitches an entire game in about a third of a game, which is it's not good. And it really seemed like the Nationals were just watching a whole lot of pitches on Wednesday. I don't know. Maybe they figured him out, but it was just so tough to watch. If you do follow me on Twitter, which I believe you should, at Docter PhD or at Orange Line Pod, and see my live tweets, you would see that I was very upset with the team and very unenthused. But that was their back-to-back loss because they lost the night before on Tuesday, where pitching again seemed to fail them. And unfortunately, it was Aaron Nola who took the brunt of it. And you hate to see it. And I've seen a few articles of people saying, well, he has a bit changed to him. I know the commentators were saying that he has changed his curveball slightly, but his velocity and how fast he's throwing the pitches and what he's doing with the pitches, they all seem the same, but the curveball just isn't hitting the same way anymore. Which has been tough, obviously, for him, since he hasn't thrown it all that much. But yeah, pitching it's like our Achilles heel right now. And unfortunately, the game on Wednesday was just another example of a night that our bats just can't win a game for us. I think we might rely on that too much. I can see us relying on that too much once we eventually get to the later parts of this season. But yeah, the big hitters just weren't able to capitalize on anything, and the middle of the lineup seemed to be able to get on base fairly well, but just didn't have anyone that could knock in that run. So maybe that's something to consider. I have my own idea of changing the order, but I would do it very wacky. And maybe one day, if I had time, I would let you guys know. But for right now, I do not have the time. Do have a busy week coming up, though. Off tonight. Almost everyone, I believe everyone is off tonight, Thursday. But on Friday, we start a 3-game series at the Marlins, and then we are back home for a 3-game series against the Mets. So a lot of divisional play early on. Hopefully we can beat up on 2 of the teams in this division that don't look quite as strong. Nationals pose a threat. I don't know so much about the Marlins. So it's going to be fun, I believe, going forward. This team always is. And it's always fun being a Philadelphia fan because there's always something happening. So far, there's been an abundance of news. I'm able to fill out these, podcasts pretty quickly, so I'm glad I can share it with you guys because it's just so great to be a fan in Philadelphia. Here on the Orange Line, because that's what we all are. We are all part of the Orange Line. Philadelphia's sports podcast, 8 for 8 sports podcast, the only one. For fans, by fans, for fans. It's going to be a fun week. I don't know. I'm rambling for the end of this episode, but that's just what I like to do. I love talking to everyone. I hope your week is going well, and I hope everything goes great for Philadelphia sports. I am surely excited. If you're a fan of wrestling, my new podcast is officially up and running. So that is going to be happening every Friday, talking about the most talk-worthy points of professional wrestling in the world. And I believe this week I should be doing a full hour of Power, PWR, Pro Wrestling Review. Because WrestleMania just happened, and besides the fact that it was 7 hours of professional wrestling in one day, there's still a whole lot to talk about, even if it was 2 hours of professional wrestling. Breaking down some of the matches that happened on the pay-per-view, and then talking the news. So it should be fun. Follow me on Twitter at DocterPhD, DocterPhD, and follow the podcast at Orange Line Pod, spelled exactly the way you would think. I tweet out almost every single night about any game, any sporting event or sport-like event that I'm watching for the night. So please join me. Feel free. Use the hashtag #OrangeLineLive. Like I said before, should be a good week. I'll cut this off now before it goes any further. Have a great one.